I was 13 years old when it happened, and now at 39, I've never been able to erase what I witnessed from my mind. I've never been one to share this story with many people because I know it's not normal for them to believe such things. But when I found this channel, I didn't think twice about sending in what happened to me. It all unfolded in a small town in the interior of Mato Grosso, about 500 kilometers from the capital city of Cuiabá. I lived with my parents in a modest little house on a farm where we stayed as guests. It was a simple brick dwelling with blue windows and white walls surrounded by a small forest. It was a pleasant place, really, peaceful in a way that made you forget the world existed beyond those trees. My father and I worked the land together, a small plot just a few meters behind our house. It wasn't a vast plantation, but it was our lifeline, the source of everything we needed to survive. Every single day, my father and I would walk to that field to work, and to reach it, we had to pass through a narrow trail that cut through the dense brush. It was a tranquil path, one I had grown to love deeply. The air was always cool there, and the silence was broken only by the singing of birds and the chirping of crickets. We would leave early in the morning and return as the sun began to set, eating our lunch right there in the field. We had no neighbors nearby. The closest one lived 15 kilometers away, a man we called Sir Manet, though his real name was Emmanuel. He made his living working as a milkman, and we rarely saw him. But when he did appear, his face was always closed off, hardened by something we couldn't name. My mother, who was deeply religious, always warned me never to speak with him. She would say that he dabbled in the occult, witchcraft, dark arts, things of that nature. I was terrified of him, truly terrified, because his gaze was macabre, bulging eyes, and a face that seemed perpetually flushed with some internal torment. My father would say he was a good man, just someone who didn't enjoy conversation much since his wife had passed away. But I could never shake that feeling of dread whenever I saw him. One Friday, we received an invitation to a birthday party in town. It was for Carlinhos, a family friend and the owner of the farm where we lived. He would buy our produce to sell in the general store he ran in the city. The birthday was for his daughter, who was turning 18, and I couldn't wait for our work in the field to end so we could head to his place. It would be the first birthday party I'd ever attend, and I was buzzing with anticipation. It was around 6:30 in the evening when we finally finished our work, gathered our tools, and headed home. When we reached the entrance to the trail, we both felt something strange, as if the very air had become heavy, charged with an invisible weight. My father said, "Son, did you feel that?" I nodded yes, unable to find words. We continued walking, and suddenly a putrid smell engulfed us. It was a mixture of rotting flesh, iron, and sulfur, a stench I will never forget as long as I live. My father said, could it be that some animal died in the woods? But before I could even respond, we heard a noise, a sound like a mixture of a wild boar and a dog, something unnatural and wrong. My spine froze, and a deep, cold fear settled in my stomach. My father pulled me close and whispered, "There's something watching us." And that's when, from the middle of the brush, that demonic creature leaped out. I screamed so loud that the thing actually took a step back, and my father jumped in front of me, shouting, "Get away! Get away, Satan!" The image of that beast will never leave my mind. It had dark, patchy fur, was terribly thin and hunched over, and its head resembled that of a deformed dog with droopy, oversized ears. Its teeth looked like fangs protruding from its jaw, and when I looked into the creature's eyes, I swear they had the same sinister look as Somanet's eyes. But I was so terrified I didn't keep staring to be certain. My father always carried a machete at his waist, so he pulled it out and yelled at the creature, "Don't come any closer or I'll run you through." The demon seemed to understand. It made a sound like a howling dog and disappeared back into the woods. My father scooped me up and ran toward our house. When we arrived, he locked all the doors and windows and told my mother what had happened. Not surprisingly, my mother said, "It's that old man, I'm sure of it." In the end, we didn't go to the party for safety reasons. The next day, my father and I went to town and told Carlinhos what had occurred, and surprisingly, he said, "The old man must have gone back to messing with those things again." A few days after the incident, Sumane left, and we never heard from him again. What was that thing? To this day, I don't know, and I also don't know whether it had any connection to Sumane or not. All I know is that it was one of the worst experiences I have ever had in my life. Have you ever felt that there are forces in this world we cannot fully comprehend, lurking just beyond the veil of what we call reality? Think about that for a moment, about the mysteries that surround us, the unexplained encounters that change us forever. Share in the comments a statement beginning with, "I recognize that," expressing what you've come to understand about the invisible forces that shape our lives. When we acknowledge these truths openly, we create a space where others can find the courage to share their own experiences. And in that sharing, we find we are not alone in this strange, beautiful, terrifying world. Good evening to everyone. My name is Emerson Fernandez, and I live in São Paulo, though what I'm about to share happened in Minas Gerais, my birthplace, more precisely in the town of Lagoa dos Patos in the north of Minas. This account involves my father, José Carlos, better known as Carrinho Preto, my mother, Dona Maria Mercedes, known as Cecinha, and my older sister, Aparecida, who also goes by Decida and was a newborn at the time this occurred. This happened approximately 48 years ago. I hadn't yet come into the world, but my mother, through her accounts shared with me, told me about a terrible experience she witnessed. My mother was pregnant with her first daughter and very happy about it. She gave birth in a small settlement with the help of midwives. Donna Antonia, one of the midwives who participated in the pregnancy and birth, said to Cecinha, "Baptize this child, even if it must be done over a fire, because in these parts there are stories." There were stories of a werewolf roaming those parts, but my father, hard-headed and rough as he was, didn't believe in such tales. He would say that if he ever came face to face with something like that, he would fight it with his bare hands and teeth to defend his firstborn daughter. Donna Antonia pleaded with Carrinho to stop being so stubborn, telling him that nobody truly knows what exists out there in the darkness. But my father, a little drunk at the time, paid her no mind. Days later, as Holy Week approached, my parents found work at a charcoal production site near the settlement. They would be living in a rancho, a house made of straw and simple materials. My father, being practical, raised a dog to hunt and to guard the yard. During Holy Week, my father decided he would go hunting. My mother protested immediately, saying, "Are you crazy, man? Hunting during Holy Week? You know you can't do that." My father responded dismissively, "Woman, you're being foolish, giving life to Antonia's tall tales and devil stories. I'll wait nearby and be back soon." My mother simply said, "All right then, may God go with you." Because in those days, even when wives had their doubts and fears, they didn't directly confront their husbands. My father took the cartridge shotgun he had inherited from my grandfather, Chico, and went out to wait in the darkness. It was a night of a full moon. The lunar light illuminated everything beautifully, creating perfect conditions for anyone who wanted to hunt. But what my father didn't expect was that on that night, his courage would be tested in ways he could never have imagined. Suddenly, a powerful stench of decay began to fill the air, thick and suffocating. The sound of something walking, something heavy and deliberate, echoed through the trees. My father readied his shotgun, his hands steady despite the rising tension. When the creature approached, my father saw that it wasn't an animal. At least not any animal he had ever known, because its eyes glowed red like burning coals. Its ears were large and pointed, and its body was a horrifying mixture of man and dog, covered in matted fur with enormous feet and hands. My father had never seen anything like it. He whispered, "Our Lady, what kind of demon is this?" In that moment, the beast lunged toward the tree where my father was waiting and began trying to climb it, its claws scraping against the bark. My father didn't think twice. He fired a shot that grazed the creature. The beast let out a piercing howl and ran off, stumbling and staggering into the darkness. My father climbed down from the tree and ran back to the rancho. When he arrived, he was whiter than a sheet. My mother said, "Our Lady, man, did you see ghosts out there?" He responded breathlessly, "Cecina, put out the lamp. There's a beast outside." At that moment, the dogs began to bark frantically. My father grabbed a sipo. For those who don't know, in the Northeast, these are tree stumps we used as stools. He placed it in the middle of the house, sat down, and armed his shotgun again. The dogs' barking grew closer and more desperate, their cries turning into yelps as if something was attacking them. Suddenly, the beast appeared at the front of the rancho, tearing through the wooden walls of the house, trying to force its way inside by any means possible. My father fired again. This time, the shot was more accurate. The creature let out another deafening howl and disappeared into the forest. My mother clutched my sister and began to pray. They didn't sleep at all that night. What would happen if, in this moment, you allowed yourself to truly believe in the mysteries that surround us, the forces we cannot see, but that shape our very existence? Nil, consider the courage it takes to face the unknown, to stand firm when everything rational tells us to run. I invite you to write in the comments, completing the phrase, "I commit to," sharing how you would face your own fears if they materialized before you. When we declare our intentions openly, we forge a bond with others who walk similar paths, and in that declaration, we find the strength we thought we'd lost forever. At dawn, even though he was exhausted and sleepy, my father decided to walk around the surrounding area looking for the creature's body, because he was certain he had killed that demon. But he found nothing. Not a trace, not a drop of blood, nothing. My mother went to the settlement where she had my sister baptized over a fire, just as Donna Antonia had advised. Months later, my mother visited the home of friends of hers, a couple named Donna Martiniana and Seodico. When she arrived at their residence, my mother found only Donna Martiniana, who said that Dico had disappeared since Holy Week and that she believed he had abandoned her. When my mother came home and told my father about this, he immediately suspected that man. To this day, Dico has never been seen in those parts again. Years later, when my mother was telling me this story, my father came over and said, "It was him. But by now he must be in hell." My mother added, "That's right, and that was to teach you never to doubt these things, you stubborn old man." I've heard many stories on this channel, and I don't doubt these accounts or supernatural things, because my parents are highly respected people who don't lie or make up stories. Thank you for sharing my account, and good night to everyone.